19% close rate. That's the very first thing that pops into my head. Now, admittedly, that's the most successful solve the prospecting problem with a radio show client that we have had. Over a 19-month period, this particular company conducted 167 interviews with executives. 32 of those 167 wound up buying something, and in fact, that's the 19%. In fact, it was higher than the 19%. If you want to calculate it slightly differently, in that 7 of those 32 bought more than one thing. But you ask me, what's the value, what's the power, what's the value proposition of solving the prospecting problem with a radio show? 19% close rate. Well, one of the things that it brings a smile to my face actually is you'll hear a lot of sales professionals make the statement, look, get me in front of the decision maker and I'll close that deal, stated very, very confidently. And in fact, that's probably true in most cases for a genuine pro. It begs the question, however. The real question in my mind, when we're talking about prospecting in particular, is how do you get in front of that executive to begin with? That's the real question. That's the real thing I want to look at. Once I get there, I got a lot of work to do yet, but that's the biggest part of the battle already done in my mind. There's one primary reason that a radio show works, and it gets back to a more general premise of a sales process, and that is that every step, every stage, every key activity within your sales process needs to add value to the prospect or customer. It's not something that I need to do or my company needs to do, but I want to provide value to the customer, and that's something that the radio show does. I have an executive showcasing his or her talents and knowledge, or the talents and knowledge that are embodied within that individual's company. That has value to them. I'm creating or helping them create a powerful, compelling marketing piece for my prospect. So provide value every step of your sales process, particularly tough to do in the very early stages, like that gain attention, get the first meeting. That's precisely what a radio show accomplishes. It's important to see both the tactical and the strategic nature of this approach to solving the prospecting problem. Clearly, I invite an executive to be a guest on one of my radio shows to showcase again his or her talent, make that individual and or that individual's company look good, give them a platform to talk about their value proposition and reach out to their customers. So that tactically, that is a very powerful thing. Once I have that interview scheduled and done, I have now established a relationship with that executive. I can kick in the remainder of my sales process and move on from there. The second piece of it's much more strategic. Once I've done 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 different interviews, I've built up a pretty impressive darn body of knowledge about the particular topic of that radio show. And now let's say I've posted all those and maybe posted transcripts as well as the actual audio of all those out on a blog. That is search engine bait. Google and the rest of the search engines just absolutely love that kind of good quality content, so that when someone comes out and searches for the product or service that I'm selling, I've got that much more content out there that's attracting the search engine. I have people calling me inbound from a strategic perspective. Well, frankly, I have to answer that question the way I did your very first question, and that is, why does somebody want to do a radio show to solve the prospecting problem? It's back to that 19% close rate. I mean, it's extraordinary. Again, the 19%, as I said, was the best, the most shining example that we've got. If it's a half that, it's a third that. In fact, most of our customers are hitting in a 6 to 8% close rate range. Go back and look at your own data. I mean, it's an extraordinarily effective way to solve the prospecting problem.